The Brazilian Carnival is renowned as the world's largest popular festival, attracting millions to the streets, including tourists from around the globe eager to experience days of pure revelry. The event features impressive parades, electric trios that draw massive crowds, and blocks where joy seems endless. It's an explosion of color, music, and energy that places Brazil in the global spotlight. But what if behind all this glitter lies a hidden side that few discuss? A dark side filled with backstage stories that don't make it to television? However, let's be clear. This isn't about dampening the festivities or claiming that Carnival is entirely negative. Far from it. Carnival is one of the most beautiful, creative, and significant celebrations in Brazilian culture, attracting millions and garnering worldwide attention. Yet, not everything is a party. Behind the lavish costumes, drums, and contagious joy, there are issues many prefer to ignore. Corruption, million-dollar schemes, crimes, and tragedies lurking behind this grand celebration. Today invites you to explore this other side of Carnival. Brace yourself, as what you're about to see and hear might change your perspective on this festivity. 1. The origins of the glitter. Let's start in medieval Europe. Some scholars assert that Carnival traces back to pagan festivals like winter celebrations, harvest festivities, and even fertility rituals. With the advent of Christianity, these celebrations were somewhat incorporated into the religious calendar, occurring just before Lent, a period when the faithful dedicate themselves to penance and fasting. The term carnival derives from the Latin carnem levar, meaning farewell to meat. The idea was that before entering Lent, when meat consumption and festivities were restricted, there was a period of revelry, a sort of farewell to earthly pleasures. When these traditions arrived in Brazil, the European Carnival encountered the existing African and indigenous cultures. The result was a festivity that only Brazil knows how to create. In the 16th and 17th centuries, the main event was the Intrudo, where people took to the streets throwing water, flour, and paint at everyone. It was fun for some, annoying for others, and so disorderly that the elite attempted to ban it several times, albeit unsuccessfully. Nevertheless, the Intrudo eventually became the embryo of the street parties we know today. In the 19th century, Rio de Janeiro saw the emergence of carnival societies with more elegant parades and balls attended by the elite. However, the locals continued their street festivities, leading to the rise of ranchos and cordões. Ranchos featured music bands and costumes, while cordões focused on percussion and parades. Amidst this blend, samba emerged. By the late 19th century, Rio's black communities began creating this unique sound, mixing drums with polkas and modinhas. From this movement, the first samba schools like Deixa Falar, Mangueira, and Portela emerged, starting to parade with themes and costumes. In the 1930s, official competitions and the samba enredo were introduced, giving Carnival its modern form. By the 1960s, the rules were defined, and the Sambadrome Marques de Sapucaí, inaugurated in 1984, solidified Rio's Carnival as the world's largest. In São Paulo, the first samba schools emerged in the 1930s, but the parade gained prominence in the 60s and 70s. Today, the Anhembi Sambadrome hosts fierce competitions among top schools like Vai Vai, Rosas de Ouro, Gaviões da Fiel, Mocidade Alegre, and others. Despite the famous parades in Rio and São Paulo, Carnival extends far beyond. In Salvador, electric trios and axé music draw millions to the Barra Ondina and Campo Grande circuits. In Recife and Olinda, Frevo music takes over the streets, with the Galo da Madrugada being a spectacle in itself. The fact is, the festivity is Brazilian, regardless of its location. The rhythm may change, but there's something all these celebrations have in common. Behind the music, costumes, and joy lies a less colorful side of Carnival. This is where things get complicated. So let's delve into this darker side and, of course, the money. After all, who funds all this? 2. The involvement of the bicheiros. One of the major sources of dirty money supporting Carnival is the Jogo do Bicho, animal game. For those unfamiliar, it's an illegal lottery very popular in Brazil. It operates as follows. The player chooses a number associated with an animal, be it a lion, rabbit, horse, etc. If the drawn animal's number matches their choice, they win. It seems simple, but the game moves an absurd amount of money and operates entirely outside the law. The bicheiros control this scheme, and we're not talking about small-time operators. They handle fortunes. Although illegal, the game has never ceased to exist, especially in Rio de Janeiro, where it intertwined with various societal sectors, including Carnival. This relationship dates back, but it gained more visibility in the 1980s with the construction of the Sambadrome Marquês de Sapucaí, designed by Oscar Niemeyer. Rio's Carnival became a monumental spectacle, and the bicheiros seized the stage, both behind the scenes and in the spotlight. One emblematic figure in this narrative is Castor de Andrade, patron of the Mocidade Independente de Padre Miguel. He wasn't discreet. In the 1991 parade, for instance, Castor celebrated his 65th birthday during the school's assembly. There was cake and candles, but the highlight was a banquet fit for royalty, featuring lobster mousse, shrimp and tartar sauce, and surubim with toast. While in Rio, the bicheiros had a direct hand in the samba schools, financing lavish floats, costumes, and infrastructure. The connection between organized crime and Carnival was not exclusive to the city. Similar involvement could be seen in São Paulo, where various illegal activities helped fund the extravagant displays seen in the Anhembi Sambadrome. Though authorities have made attempts to sever these ties, the influence of illicit gambling and organized crime persists in the festival's underbelly. 3. Corruption and public funds. One of the biggest questions surrounding Carnival is, where does all the money come from? Some financing comes from private sponsorships, tourism, and ticket sales, but a significant portion comes from public funds. Every year, city governments allocate millions to ensure that the event takes place, given its economic and cultural importance. The justification is valid. Carnival generates jobs, attracts tourists, and moves the economy. However, there have been multiple cases of mismanagement and corruption in the allocation of these funds. Over the years, investigations have uncovered embezzlement schemes involving public officials, event organizers, and even samba school leaders. In 2017, an operation by the federal police exposed irregularities in contracts related to Rio de Janeiro's Carnival. Millions of reais intended for infrastructure and cultural support were allegedly diverted through fraudulent invoices and shell companies. These scandals raise questions about transparency and accountability in the management of one of Brazil's most beloved traditions. 4th, exploitation behind the scenes. While Carnival is a celebration of joy and creativity, the reality behind the scenes can be harsh, especially for those who work tirelessly to bring the spectacle to life. Many seamstresses, carpenters, and artisans responsible for producing the elaborate costumes and floats are underpaid and overworked. Reports have surfaced of workers spending months laboring under poor conditions, receiving little compensation in return. Additionally, the sexual exploitation of vulnerable individuals, particularly women and children, is a grim issue linked to the festival. The influx of tourists and the party atmosphere create an environment where cases of harassment, assault, and human trafficking increase. NGOs and activists work to raise awareness and combat these issues, but the problem remains widespread. 5. Carnival's relationship with crime. Another concern is the increase in crime rates during Carnival. While the police reinforce security measures, incidents of theft, assault, and violence still surge during the festivities. Pickpockets take advantage of the massive crowds, and there are frequent reports of more serious crimes, including armed robberies. Gang activity also spikes during Carnival, as some factions use the event as a cover for drug trafficking and territorial disputes. In cities like Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo, authorities often deploy additional forces to favelas and high-risk areas to prevent outbreaks of violence. 6. Accidents and tragedies. Beyond crime and corruption, Carnival has also seen its share of tragic accidents. The grand floats, often several meters high, have caused incidents where participants fell or were crushed due to structural failures. Electrical accidents have also occurred due to the massive amount of lighting and wiring used in the parades. In 2017, a tragic accident at Rio's Sambadrome left multiple people injured when a float from the school Paraíso do Tuiuti lost control and crashed into the spectators. Similar accidents have occurred in street parades, where overcrowding and poor infrastructure have led to injuries and fatalities. Carnival is undoubtedly a magnificent and essential part of Brazilian culture, attracting millions of people worldwide and injecting billions into the economy. However, beneath the dazzling costumes, powerful samba beats, and contagious joy, there exists a reality that is often overlooked. Acknowledging these issues does not diminish the beauty of Carnival. Rather, it presents an opportunity to address and improve them. For Brazil's most beloved celebration to truly shine, Reforms, transparency, and stronger oversight are necessary. After all, Carnival should be a time of unity, culture, and happiness for everyone, not just those who profit from its darker side. Thanks for watching.